Jumping onto music for WWISE and Unreal, I'll be taking a look at states and switches. In this video, I'll mostly be looking at states because it's a very simple game, but this can also work for switches as well. So I'm going to go to my Game Syncs tab. And in here, we can find my state group, which is player status, and I made two states, a live and a dead state. These are the only two states I'll be using. So I'm going to go over to my audio tab and take a look at my sound assets. So I made a music switch, call it Boss Music Switch. And for my boss theme, I used Dragon from the Elden Ring OST, composed by Yuka Kitamura. And I made the player death sound. Cool. So I'm going to go over to my music switch and look at my states. So here I have the alive, the dead, and the none state. And for the alive, I added the dragon boss music. And for the dead, I added the player death sound. And in order for this to transition smoothly, I'm going to go over to my transitions tab and take a look at the transition I made. So here I made it immediate because I wanted to sound as soon as the player dies, and I added a 0.1 fade to get rid of any unnecessary pops. And for my destination, I just put it to start a playlist so it can start right at the beginning of the playlist when the dead sound stops. So now let's test it out. So if I set it to none, no music should be playing. No music's playing, that's a good sign, so I'm going to switch it to alive. So once I switch it to dead, the death sound started, and if I switch it to alive, the music should start. Perfect. It switches sounds according to the state I set it to, so that is looking really good. So let's go over to the Unreal Engine and implement it. So here in Unreal, I set up my music as an AK ambient sound, so the music can be heard throughout the entire level. And in it, I place my boss music switch. This includes the boss music and the death sound. So in order for the states to trigger, I'm going to go to my level blueprint. And in the event begin play, I set up my state. I set it to the alive state. That's the state I want for when the game starts. And then when the player dies, I'm going to go to my death screen and add the state at the end. And I set the state to the dead one. Now that's set up, all that's left is to test it out. So the music starts right when the level starts, and it smoothly transitions to the death sound effect when the player dies, and it starts back up again when the level restarts, and that is exactly how I set it up.